I am continuing with my NFL preview series, looking at all 32 teams in the run up to the kickoff of the 2024 season, which happens on Thursday, September 5th. Today, I complete my look at the AFC South with the Tennessee Titans. And the Tennessee Titans had a down year in 2023. They made a lot of transitions moving on from longtime starter Ryan Tannehill to rookie Will Levis. It was up and down. They finished near the bottom of the AFC South. And then this offseason, they made even more changes, replacing longtime head coach Mike Vrabel with Brian Callahan, who was the offensive coordinator for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, with Levis as the clear starter heading into season two, it's time to see if they can take a step forward. And I mentioned the Titans bid farewell to Tannehill. He remains unsigned, but it's clear they're moving in a new direction. They signed Mason Rudolph instead to be kind of the backup to Levis. The team also parted ways with longtime running back Derrick Henry, who went to the Baltimore Ravens. In his stead, they have second-year back Tyjae Spears, and they signed former Cowboys running back Tony Pollard. In 5 seasons with Dallas, Pollard rushed for 3,621 yards and 23 touchdowns, also caught 176 passes. He figures to be a weapon, but the Titans weren't done there. They made a lot of splashes in the passing game. They signed former Bengals receiver Tyler Boyd, who played with Callahan in Cincinnati. But their biggest new target was free agent wide receiver Calvin Ridley, who spent last season with division rival Jaguars. He caught 76 passes for 1,016 yards and 8 touchdowns in 2022. He forms a formidable duo with DeAndre Hopkins in Tennessee. In the draft, they really focused on beefing up the lines. Used a first-round selection on tackle J.C. Latham and a second-round selection on defensive tackle Tavondre Sweat. That gives them some extra pop in the trenches. So what does it mean for fantasy? Well, the biggest question and the most polarizing question for fans and analysts is Will Levis. He was taken just at the start of the second round in the 2023 draft. He was a fourth quarterback off the board. In 9 starts, he went 3-6 with 1,808 yards and 8 touchdowns last year. His maturation and development are the biggest challenge for Callahan, probably one of the reasons he was brought in. I think it's going to be some slow going. He's a very low end QB2 for me, possibly a QB3. I think between 22 and 26 is a range where I feel comfortable having him. Some people think he's going to explode. I just don't see it. In the backfield, I think Pollard and Spears will split the work. I have Pollard as kind of the nominal lead, a low end running back 2 with Spears, a high end running back 3. In that passing game, they have Hopkins, Ridley, Boyd, tight end Chigakonkwo. They're all vying for targets. That's a big group of pass catchers. They also have Treylon Burks, a former first-round pick, and running backs who could be in the mix. That's good for Levis, and that's good for the Titans, but it may not be incredible for fantasy. Hopkins also dealing with a knee injury right now that could have him slowed to start the regular season. I think Ridley will end up being their top finisher. I think he's going to be in the wide receiver 3 range. Hopkins probably maybe low end wide receiver 3, high end wide receiver 4. I have Boyd more in that wide receiver 5 range. I think Boyd's going to have a role. I think there's a reason they brought him over. I like Okonkwo to again be in that tight end 2 range. Burks to me is the one that's losing value quickly. Maybe he gets traded and maybe that ends up being a good thing. But even in Dynasty, I'm not so sure he needs to be rostered. As I mentioned, your feelings on Levis probably govern a little bit of your feelings for the Titans. I think it's going to be slow going. I think this is still more of a transition year. I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the 4 to 6 win range. Again, kind of the bottom of the AFC South. I like some pieces. I think there's some growing to do, but this is going to go a long way to seeing if Levis is ultimately the guy for them. And I'm not